All right, students. This is going to be a quick video to go over APA style citation. I break down a couple of different types of reference to do with these. We're going to look at the book and how to cite a journal, which are the two most common that you would do in research as you're working through some of these citations. So we're going to get the PowerPoint started. All right, so APA style citation. That is what we're going to be using throughout the class. So when you do your case studies and when you do anything else that asks for you to use citation, this is what you will be using. See, American Psychological Association, their style citation. If you do not have one, there's a book that is the publication manual. You can find these online. You can get them through the bookstore at Santa Fe. I'm almost certain. I know you can find them online. They are required for some courses. As you advance through your studies, you'll probably run into classes that will require it at other places. So the types of reference we'll go over will be a book, a journal entry. Then we're going to look at how to set up Word and use APA on Word. So for a book, this is from it's actually in a chart somewhere. This is in the book for APA style citation. It's also one that you can find various sources. There are some good tools within the Santa Fe library that you can use. Also, if you go online to the library, you look up citation, they have some pretty good tools. I believe this may be one of them. They also have them there. It's pretty common to be used. The first thing we're going to look at is going to be how you cite a book. Now, if you'll notice on this, it's laid out. There's not any information in it, but it's laid out where you have the author's names first. If you have two authors, and it's that. If there's only one, of course, you would have just the one author listed there. You have your copyright year, the title of the book. If the book is an edition beyond the first edition, you would notate that. Put in the publisher of the book, which you can normally find as soon as you open the book or get to their copyright page. It'll have it. If the book has a DOI or a URL, if it's one that's listed online, if you're using a book that's online, you would either have a DOI or a URL that you can put there. And then you set it up, and that is how you cite. We'll also go over what an inside or an inline citation should look like. So this is what the basis would be when you pull it up. So you have the author, the copyright, the title, publisher, and the DOI. That's the information that you need to build your citation in the proper way. All right, so you need that information. If you don't have that information, it's going to be very difficult to build it. Now, the neat thing about it is most of this information is found within the first 2 pages of a book. So you open it up, you'll find what's called the copyright page. It'll be a page that'll have all the information that you need within your book and to cite it. So let's first look at how the author and the copyright is set up. For the author's name, you do last name, comma, first initial, a period, then a middle initial, and a period before the comma. All right. So it would be something like this. If you were citing a book that I wrote, it would be Thornton, comma, R period, A period, and then a comma before you get to the copyright year. The next thing that in line, there will be the copyright year, and this is always in parentheses. So you always make sure that you put the copyright year in parentheses. And when you do that, it should look something like this. So if that was a book that I wrote this year, which was published this year, then that would be how you would cite it. That's the first part of your citation. If you have more than one author, such as our course text, then it's going to be in the order that they're on the book. You don't necessarily have to go in alphabetical order with it. You can do it in the order that they're listed on the book. Most of the time, publications will do an alphabetical order for their authors, just to make things cleaner and how it would line up. So our book is, the copyright on it is actually 2018. So it's Mann, R.A., and Roberts. And you can use the and symbol for what you're doing there. So how citations should look. If you'll notice this one, the correct way is just Smith and Roberson's Business Law, 17th edition. That's your title. If you had a title that had a subtitle to it, then it would be something like this: Smith and Roberson's Business Law, an abridged version. All right. So notice on this, there's capitalization on the first word and on proper nouns. So in the title of our book, Smith and Roberson, so those are both proper nouns. Everything that follows is just normal words. So business law would not be capitalized, neither would and. With this one, you can have the and symbol typed out, or you can have the word and typed out, or use the symbol here. Either way would be fine. On the cover of the book, it actually uses the and symbol. I don't know if you can see it zoomed out like this, but right there, the and symbol is used. With the and symbol, that is fine. When you open up Cengage and you look at the ebook, you'll see the and symbol on there where it has the title page for the book. You can do that. But if it's one that has a subtitle, you use a colon and then you capitalize the first letter, the first word immediately following that punctuation. So similar if you were starting a new sentence, you would capitalize the first letter of the first word. You would do that in the title. Most of the things we'll use as far as books may not have that. When you get into journaling or citing law journal or any type of journal, or it's a scientific journal, those type of things, a lot of those will have a title plus a add-on to the title that further explains the study they're doing. So for the textbook for class, it would look something like this. So you would have it would look like this. So Mann RA and Roberts BS 2018, the title in italics, and then 17th edition. Notice that the 17th edition right here is in parentheses and it is not italicized. The title of the book receives the italics. It is italicized, but the edition is not. And the edition is going to be in parentheses. Now, there should be a period after that. And when I have a full one typed out, you'll see where the period is at. The next thing we're looking at is the publisher. And then if they have a DOI or URL. I could not find one for a course text. I do not remember there being one anytime I've quoted it. So do not believe there is one for a course text. Every once in a while, you'll find books that have that when you're using an online book. There'll be a DOI attached to it or a URL. But since you're using it contained within inside the publisher site, it's not necessarily to use the URL. You can do it as a normal book, at least for my class. That's how I would look at it. Well, when we look at the publisher of our book is Cengage Learning. All right. So it would be exactly this way written in that citation. Both words are capitalized because they're capitalized. They're both part of the name. They're capitalized in that. It's followed with a period. So the way that it would look, this would be a complete citation for the course text. This is what your citation would look like if we're citing from the book. You would have Mann RA Roberts, Mann keeping that style that's required, and Roberts keeping that style that's required. Your date it's published, that copyright date. Now, one thing our book has it, and several other books will, you may see more than one date. If you see more than one date in the copyright, use the most recent date. That's the most recent version, and that book itself had a copyright of 2018. There may have been a version of it in 2015, and then it was put back out in 2018, and that's when you're looking for that copyright. Then the title itself is once again italicized. Only proper nouns are capitalized. The first word and then proper nouns are capitalized. The 17th edition is going to be in those parentheses with a period after it, and then it goes to Cengage Learning and a period. that is a proper citation for the course text. So if you quote from the text, this is what I'm looking for. All right. So if you quote from the text for one of your case studies or anything you're doing, a lot of times students don't think about using the textbook that we have in class to quote from it, but it does talk about the various types of law, right? It talks about ethical issues. It describes several different things. There are cases that tie into some of the stories or the articles we'll look at. So you can use it. Keep in mind that when you cite it in line, so when you put in your quote, and this is how you're going to cite it, this is what it would look like on the page within what you're writing. I put an example down here. Out of the book, I used something about promissory estoppel. The most common application of the doctrine of promissory estoppel is charitable subscriptions. That is parentheses to start and end the quote. No comma, none of that. Then immediately after it, parentheses, Mann and Roberts, both of them capitalized, 2018, the date, and then period. You can also use page numbers in this. If you want to be more concise with your citation, you can use page numbers, but it's not as common as it used to be for page numbers to be required. A lot of times just simply from the text, then you go from there. Page numbers are not wrong. They're just not quite as heavily required as they used to be. So that kind of covers from a text. Now let's look at a journal entry. The articles that you're given from for the case studies, most of those are journal entries. They're from a journal or a periodical that McGraw-Hill puts out called Connection. It's Connections. It's one that McGraw-Hill puts out, and I try to always put the title, the author's name, the date that it was published, all of that at the very top of it. So you should be able to see that when you open it up, and you can get this information from it. Now, there may not be a volume and issue number or a page number associated with it because these all come from off the website. But if you're quoting from a journal that you're using for some type of research paper or for anything you're writing in class, this would be the information you would need. It's very similar. It starts out all the way up to the year. The author's names and the year are done exactly the same. You don't change anything with that. The change is that now you'll have the title of an article plus the name of the periodical. In the title of the article, you're going to use all the same conventions except for one. You will not italicize the title of the article. You're still going to use capital letter for the first word and any proper nouns that follow it, but you do not italicize the name of the article. When you step down to put the name of the periodical that it came out of, then you'll begin to use the italicized. And you're going to capitalize all major words that are in the periodical name. So now you're going to go into that the way you were taught all the way through school, how to do titles. All the major words are capitalized. You know, capitalize of or the, how it is on the screen here. The next thing we want is the volume number and the issue number, the page numbers, and then if it has a DOI, you can put that. A lot of journal articles that you read will have a DOI. It'll be for that journal itself. It'll be a number, followed a lot of times with a year or something similar to that. A way that it breaks down, like I said, the author and the copyright are done the same. Then you get to your title, then the name of the periodical. You capitalize all major words in the periodical name, followed with a comma, italicize the periodical name, but not the comma that's after it. And that's difficult to remember. And you're likely not going to see me take a point off if you forget to remove the italicize. If you leave that in italics, I'm probably not going to take that point off because that's real difficult to remember. But you will run into professors that are sticklers for it, so keep that in mind. There's that comma you put after it, like is right here. That little comma right there is the one it's referring to. that comma should not be italicized. So you would highlight the name of the periodical when you type it, Control I or however you do, and then turn that off, put the comma, and then go into the next step. It is rather picky about it. APA is picky with certain things. When you get to the volume and issue number, you italicize the volume number, but do not italicize the issue number. The issue number should be in parentheses. Then you'll list the page number range from the article. So the article, when it's inside a journal, will be contained on certain pages. You'll find that page range and you'll put that in there. And once again, if it has a DOI, you'll list that as the very last thing in your citation. So here's one, and that I pulled from an article I had that I used for a paper I wrote when I was working on my MBA. I have a lot of the articles saved because I still refer to them and still do some writing based on those. But when you look at how it's written up, this one has all of the elements in it. So you have Shinmugam, the individual's name, the author's name with a comma, and then just the M. Notice there's not a middle initial here. In the article where it had the name of the author, there was not a middle initial listed. If you can't find a middle initial, don't worry about trying to just fit one in there. Don't make it up and put one in there. But then it's going to be that was from a journal that came out in 2020, the period after it. The title of the journal, Foreign Direct Investment and Domestic Private Investment. Notice the colon here. Capitalize the R, role of governance and financial development in emerging markets in the period. And then the title of the journal, the capitalization of journal, international and economics here. Note that has to be done. And then 11 was the volume. The edition was 1. And that comma, and then pages 15 through 28. Notice I do not put PG or PP or whatever after that for pages. It's a given that that's the page number. All right. And that is one based off of those directions, how I typed it out. In just a second, we're going to look at a version done on Word, and you'll see that it's the same thing for both the book and for the journal article. So if you've never used Word for citations and building your citations, it's a very good aid. You do have to be careful. Word does not always follow the expectation or the style that the citation calls for. And you may have an issue where you're looking at a older version of it. So let me share this next screen with you. I'm going to stop this one. Share this. All right, so with this one, I already have a couple of these typed out. This is a Mann and Roberts inline citation, how it would look if I want to do the same thing right here beside it for that article. On insert a citation, and there is that. I can also edit this citation by including the page number, and that one's pages 15 through 28. So let's say I found that on page 22. I can then suppress any of that if I want to. If I want to take the author's name off of it or the year off of it, however I want to do it. But since I'm just leaving it that way, I'm going to include that. So that's from the article that the author wrote in 2020, and it's on page 22 of that article. You'll notice here this is Mann and Roberts 2018, and this is a works cited page. So you take all this off right here. It takes a little bit of work to get rid of a citation. You know, and this will be a works cited page. This is what that one singular page that has your works cited should look like. Keep in mind, your works cited is always on a separate page by itself. Right. So where our students will sometimes lose points with these, they will just hit enter after they answer the last question, then put their works cited and call it done. It is required to be on a separate page. Right. Your works cited is always on a separate page. Once you finish typing that last answer, hit enter, then insert a page break. And on that page that comes up, that is where you'll put your works cited. All right. Do that every time. Every time. Okay. So how did I get these? So I went up here and I used manage sources. And what I'm going to do is highlight the one from the book, and I'm going to click on edit. All right, and let you see everything that's in it. One thing you need to do as soon as you open this is hit your show all bibliography fields. You do not have to worry about the city for this. I'm not going to ask you for that. Some citation styles actually require that for the citation to be proper. I'm not going to require that, but you'll notice that I have selected a book here. All right. And then I put in the author's names. Now pay attention to how the author's names are in there. It is last name first, a comma, then the first name and the middle initial, then a semicolon. If you do not put the semicolon, it will consider all this one word. So you have to put the semicolon after you finish that author's name, and you have to do last name first, then first name. Then you put in the next one in the same format. All right, it's not a corporate author. If you're working with a book or a journal or anything along those lines that's published by a corporation, then you would type in corporate author and then you could put the corporation that put it out. The title just typed out the way that it should be. Now, one thing you have to do, because APA on Word is in the sixth edition, and we're now using the seventh edition of APA publication manual. So in the seventh edition is when the lowercase came into play here. So you'll have to type it in the way it's required. So you'll type in Smith and Roberson's. You can use the and symbol, and then lowercase in business, lowercase in law. First word and any proper nouns, right? So are capitalized. The year copyright was 2018. The publisher is Cengage Learning. And if you'll notice, there's only other thing I put down here is way down here edition is a 17th edition. So you'll have to look for the pieces, but they're all there as long as you check the box that says show all bibliography fields. All right. So make sure you check that box. When you do that, it's going to pop over here. All right. You'll have it right here. That's your current list. And that's the ones you're using. Okay. And same thing with this one. If I go back and look at it, once again, check all bibliography fields. This is where I have my year I can put in. I had to type it out in the proper way. Capitalize just that first word, then all lowercase. After the colon, capitalize the R and roll. And then once again, it was all lowercase. The journal name, capitalized all of the major words within it. The year is 2020. It has a space where you put in the pages. See, it's got a little asterisk, so it tells you that you should be putting that in. Their pages 15 through 28. And you come on down, volume and issue are both right here. So your volume and the issue. Then the DOI is always at the bottom, URL and DOI at the bottom of it. Okay, there's those and how they're built. I'm not going to go through the process of typing one in just for the sake of time and you having to watch a long video. But if I'm doing something similar to what I did here, just 1 second, set up. So this is my, I'm writing my paper and I put this quote in. That's the quote that I used on the PowerPoint. If I put this quote in and now I want to insert my citation, I go to insert citation, of course, and I'll have options. Everything that I have in my sources for my current list. Okay. And Word will normally keep track of this. If you're using a computer that you use on a pretty constant basis, Word will keep track of it. So you'll have all these over here. So when you see that, you can always pull from here. So like if I want to use the book, it'll be here. If I open up a whole new document and go up here, that book will still be there because it's one I've used before. But if I want to insert a citation, I just pick the one, and this is from the Man Roberts book, and there I am. I could, once again, I could do the page number with this if I wanted to. I could, if I've done something prior with Man Roberts, I can, do the IE or whatever to signify that. All right, so that's a quick rundown of it. It's not super difficult, but there is a lot that goes into it. These sources these type of things will do it for you. Feel free to copy that Man Roberts one and use it if you quote that out of the book. That counts as one of your outside sources if you use the book too. Wouldn't make you have to still find a whole bunch of them just for that. So you can use it. All right. So just as with all the other lectures that we'll have this term, if you have any questions about any of this, please reach out. You do have that first case study coming up. It will be coming up here soon. You have assignments that'll be due. I'll also be posting the first lecture coming out a lot long after this is posted. That lecture will be posted also. They're all coming together. All right, so until the next one, stay safe, study hard.